you think about food all day long because you've never actually given yourself permission to eat what you really wanted. I used to think that rice was the reason I couldn't lose any weight. Not overeating, not snacking, rice. And I have ordered cai peng with the saddest scoop of rice that you can possibly imagine. It is so sad, it's practically decorative at that point of time. And I stood there and I genuinely believe that this is the problem. That 1 tablespoon of rice was doing absolutely nothing except making my plate look like a hilarious cry for help. And it really took me an embarrassingly long period of time to realize that rice, they were never the problem. And here's the thing that everybody knows but nobody actually says it out loud. Eating with other women, they are actually their own personal kind of performance. So you sit down and you look at the menu, and before you decide what you want to eat, you will ask, hey, what are you eating? Who is being good? Who is treating yourself today? And I guess ultimately is what feels acceptable at this table. And then you adjust. Not consciously, but you adjust accordingly. And I've done this for years. Business lunches, dinners with friends. I'm always calibrating and ordering the version of food that feels like it could be defensible. It's usually not the version that I truly wanted. And I didn't question it because it didn't feel like I had a choice in it. It just felt like how a woman is expected to eat. So one day I really stopped and had a very hard look at it. And I realized that I was just so exhausted. I'm not exhausted from the food, exhausted from having to manage what I eat every single day. That constant negotiation between what I wanted and what I actually have, and what I thought I was allowed, that has been running in the background of every single meal that I've had for years. And I haven't actually noticed it because that really felt like that was the norm. And then never mind that, between this very already exhausting rule, somebody came out and said that carb is the devil. Somebody, I don't know who, came out with a rule that told you that you have to stop the carbs. What does that mean? No rice, no noodles, no bread, basically no anything that's worth eating Singapore food for. And then we just followed it because we're great at following rules. What's one more rule, right? So I'm gonna tell you what actually happens. Week 1, the scale moves. And suddenly, wow, you feel like I'm a genius. And then now we move on to week 2. You start to feel a bit tired. You're starting to get a bit angry. And now we move on to week 2. You're feeling tired. You're starting to feel a little bit angry, a bit irritated at what people just does. And then you start thinking about char kway teow at 11 a.m. What should I have for lunch? And then week 3, you just add a little bit more rice. It's not gonna kill you. And then week 4, we're back at where we started. And somehow through all of this, you think that it is your fault for not following through. It's not your fault. Carbs, they were never the problem. Now, I want you to watch this because once you start noticing it, you will never unsee it. Office snacks, are they okay? Yeah, they're fine. Birthday cake? Sounds good. Sharing food. No problem. Let's all share. Think we're at the meeting? Obviously, it's okay. It's nice. I like hairy ends. But for you to order actually one in front of another woman, in front of another group of women, all of a sudden, every single bite matters. So somehow, I don't know when it started, we've created a system where food, when being eaten collectively, it somehow doesn't count anymore. But food that you choose for yourself, for some reason, requires a laundry list of justification. So I guess most women, they only actually eat what they really want. When do they do it? It's when nobody is actually watching them. It's called a me day. And for the rest of the time, they just eat what they think is socially acceptable. And then they start to question themselves. Why am I always so hungry? Why do I think about food all day long? So I'm gonna tell you that you think about food all day long because you've never actually given yourself permission to eat what you really wanted. And here's what I didn't understand for years. And I'll keep it simple. And here's what I didn't understand for years. I'll try to keep it simple. That very sad Cai Peng lunch, 2 vegetables with a very small scoop of rice. And I was hungry by like 2 p.m., 3 p.m., sometimes not even past lunch. Why was I always so hungry? It's not because of the rice. It's because there was just a very blatant lack of protein. Protein is what keeps you full. Not full from after lunch, full until dinner kind of full. Protein doesn't make bulky. And without it, you will spike and then you'll crash. What does that mean? It means you get hungry again. And then what happens? You snack. And then that's the worst thing. You start to blame discipline for snacking. I'm sorry, you're not undisciplined. Your lunch just didn't do the job that it was supposed to do. And rice is not the problem. In fact, I will argue that rice was just the easiest thing for you to blame. And meanwhile, the actual real issue, the protein gap, that went completely ignored. I guess I just want to defend Singapore local food for a second, because I think that honestly we've been very unfair to it in all our journey towards being very macro optimized. Honestly, Cai Peng, when you do it properly, it can be quite nutritious. Rice, protein, vegetable, correctly is perhaps one of the most well-balanced meal that you could have if you choose the less oily dishes. And the best part, it's cheap, it's accessible, it really works, and you can really rotate it around every single day. So what we have is not really a food problem. What we have is really a modification problem. Someone will tell us to remove the rice, and then we'll eat less rice. And we listened. But somehow we end up with meals that look more like punishment. So what actually works is not through removing things. It is adding the right things. More protein, not less carbs. Keep the rice, add the egg. Or even better, choose more chicken, choose more fish. You deserve the bigger piece of fish. And remember, I'm not giving you a meal plan. I'm just giving you a question before you eat every single meal. Where is the protein? That's it. Cai Peng, you add egg, and then you get a bigger piece of fish. Noodles, ask the uncle, can I get additional chicken or pork or fish? Add the protein. Or even if you choose to have a salad today, just make it a real meal. Add your carbs, add your protein. When protein is the anchor of every single meal, you stop thinking about food every 10, 30, 40 minutes. And now 3 p.m. is just 3 p.m. It's not the time where you start to think, where's my cookie? We've been so busy managing food, negotiating it, earning it, trying to talk ourselves out of it, feeling guilty about it. I think somehow we just forgot something that is so basic. Food. Yes, it's fuel. Yes, it's pleasure. You get happy from eating the right food, the good food. You nourish yourself. But if today was Sunday at maybe a hawker center, it is not a test of your willpower. You need to understand that. And at the same time, you need to remember that eating less does not equate to winning it. It just means that you're hungry. And I'm gonna tell you something that may be very unpopular, but hungry women think about food all day long. That is not a lack of discipline. That is just normal body behavior. So what you have is not a discipline problem, nor a hunger problem. What you have is most likely a protein gap and a permission problem. That rice that you said no to, it didn't do anything wrong. So add the egg, order a bigger piece of fish. Stop calibrating your lunch at the table. And 3 p.m., that traitor, it will finally leave you alone. You're welcome.